Hi guys, Britton Oz here. Thanks very much for joining me again. This video is based around the election in the United States. I've waited a little bit to make this video because I wanted to gauge the reaction, I wanted to see what was going on, form my own opinions. After thinking about it for a bit, didn't want to dive in there straight away and just figured I'd think. Before we get into it, before we get into Trump and Hillary and that kind of thing, I just want to have a bit of an overview of democracy as a whole and why it's good and why it may not be so good in certain points. And the thing with democracy is there's always more than one point of view. There's always more than one side to the argument. And that's the beauty of it. Convince the other side and those in the middle that their point and their view is better or more suitable than the other side. I don't think that's been happening, and it's not just in the United States. That's across the world in all the countries with democracy. It's just not happening at the moment. The thing with democracy is that not everyone's going to have the same point of view as you. Not everyone's going to believe the same thing as you. At the moment, in the United States, there's rioting going on. People are setting fire to cars, burning effigies of Trump. They're fighting with police. Police are being forced to shoot back. You know, I'm not sure if they're rioting because they want to change the result. It's never going to happen. You try and change the result through rioting, it's not going to happen. Or they're just venting their anger and frustration at their general life. And if it's anger and frustration that they're venting, you find another way to do it, because that is not the platform in which to do it. We hold democracy, the Western world hold democracy to such high regard. It's the thing that we pride ourselves on. We're invading Middle Eastern countries to give them democracy. We're changing the way that they live to give them democracy because we believe it's the right thing to do. How can we do that when we don't believe in our own democracy? How can we do that when, if things don't go our way, we riot in the streets? How does that look to the rest of the world who we're trying to convince democracy is the way to go? That if a vote doesn't go the way we want it to, we riot in the streets. That is not the way to spread a message. Let's get on to the election. Look at reasons why Donald Trump won. And was it really a surprise? Everyone's saying it's a massive surprise. Was it really? I don't think it was a surprise. And people are going, oh well, the polls were pointing towards Hillary. Well, yeah, they probably were, because if you look at the demographic of people that complete polls, they're often the guys who've gone to university, they're higher educated, and yes, they're the guys who are supporting Clinton. And if a Trump supporter was asked to complete the polls, chances are they probably didn't want to admit they were a Trump supporter, and then they kept quiet, went to the polling booth, and ended up voting for Trump. The thing with Trump is that he pushed change. And he pushed reform. He wanted things to change for the better for the country. And this appealed to the masses. This appealed to those guys who felt left behind and disenfranchised with the current system. I don't believe Trump is the devil that people are making him out to be. He's not anti-establishment, I don't believe. He's just offering a different point of view. And he's appealed to those guys. He won Michigan, for example. Obama won Michigan by 9%. Has a massive swing that he had to make, and he did it because he's promising these guys jobs and industry to come back. And Michigan's been hit really hard with unemployment, and he's gone there and said, I'm going to make the state great. I'm going to do what I can to get jobs back into the state. Did Hillary do that? No, she didn't. Hillary's campaign was based around the fact that she wasn't Donald Trump, and she thought she could win this election by being an alternative to Donald Trump. She was defensive every step of the way, and she did not offer any changes. She did not say, this is what I'm going to do differently, this is what I'm going to offer. And of course, people looked at one, looked at the other, and these are the people who've currently got nothing really. But you know what, I'm going to go with this guy because at least he's offering something different. When it comes to things like the immigration policies that he's pushed through, these are very unpopular policies to the masses, particularly in multicultural cities maybe. But you've got to remember, there are lots of people that live in border states, Arizona and Texas and places like that, where these policies are actually very, very popular, because these are the guys that are being affected by illegal immigrants, and particularly illegal immigrants with criminal records. These are the guys that are being affected. The guys in the northern states, they're borders with Canada, of course they're not going to be bothered. There are different points of view in your own nation which you just have to accept. Now, moving on to Trump and the policies and the fact that he's watered some of them down. Of course he has. People are attacking him. People are going to take any chance to attack Donald Trump. I want to reiterate that I am not really a Trump supporter, but he's won. So you've got to try and have a look at maybe how you can work around him being president and give the guy a bit of support, okay? Let's start with the wall. He said he was going to build and make Mexico pay for it. Of course he's not going to build a 2,000 kilometre wall and make another country pay for it. Part of the border is already fenced. I think he's just going to make improvements to that fence, maybe hire more border patrol officers and that kind of thing. He's not going to build a massive wall, okay? And this is the start of an argument where people go, well, he's not following through his policies. Name me a world leader who's come into power spouting policies and then has followed through with all those policies. I can't think of any. So let's not start blaming Donald Trump. He's not the most popular choice in the world. Every politician's at it. Everyone's at it. Okay, let's go back to immigration now. Donald Trump has said he wants to start off with deporting 2 to 3 million illegal immigrants with criminal records. Now I look at this and I think, you know, I'm some sort of agreement here with him. Now, I am all for immigration. I'm all for freedom of movement. I've moved to Australia and I'm grateful every single day to have to live here. I love it. Donald Trump is saying, the guys with the illegal immigrants with criminal records, we're going to get you and you're going to go. In my neighbourhood, if I had illegal immigrants had criminal records, I'd be pretty supportive of that. And some of these guys are pretty violent. Now again, going back to the differences in view of your own country, the northern states and the southern states and the border states in particular, these guys in the southern states, the border with Mexico, they are putting up with this a lot more than the guys who are necessarily rioting in the streets and burning effigies in New York with Donald Trump, because that's, you know, I don't believe the guys who are rioting, they certainly don't represent a full spectrum of the citizens of the United States. He's also mentioned in some of his policies about vetting immigrants, particularly from the Middle East, and having harsher vetting. I don't see how this is a major problem. I don't understand how people are fighting against this. We're all up in arms when there's mass shootings, particularly, you know, the one in Paris. There's been the siege in Sydney. You know, these are going to keep happening unless we vet the immigrants. We've got to know who's coming into the country. Let them in, by all means, but see who they are. Make sure they haven't got a background. Make sure that they're coming into your country for the right reasons. Healthcare. Donald Trump said he was going to dismantle Obamacare and start again. He turned around and said he's going to keep some elements of it and build around it. I think that's probably the smart choice. He's got some stuff he can work with. I think hopefully he'll come out with a more sustainable healthcare that is truly affordable for all. Just looking forward to Donald Trump and what I think is going to happen, and I don't think there's going to be a lot. I'm hoping he pulls through with some of his promises about jobs and that kind of thing. I don't think he's going to deport millions and millions and millions of immigrants. It's unsustainable. I think the illegal immigrants or the asylum seekers, they're going to be vetted. I think he will increase that. If you want to look at a really bad immigration policy, you look at Australia and the fact that they're holding people in islands in the Pacific, in Nauru and places like that, and they're horrible places. They're really, really bad. That's going to be another video that I'm going to make about the state of the Australian immigration system. But there are a lot worse out there than the United States, I can promise you that. Donald Trump, now that he's starting to sort of change his angle on some of the policies, he is going to lose some popularity, particularly from the more extreme voters, the ones who voted for him because he's spouting he's going to remove 8-9 million illegal immigrants, and suddenly he's going to go, I'm going to target the ones with criminal records. The guys who voted him due to that policy are going to start getting a bit pissed because they're thinking, well, hold on a minute, you said they were going to kick them all out. Obviously you can't do that. Yeah, it's a very interesting and difficult time. I believe he's now realising that there's a lot more behind the scenes than he thought. He had a real go at the Iran deal that was made, and he kept saying it's the worst deal the country's ever made, and you basically handed them hundreds of millions of dollars in cash and given them all the power. And that might be right, it might be the worst deal, but there's probably going to be reasons behind it. There's probably complex reasons behind deals that have been made and behind policies that have been created, and he's just starting to realise that now. I really hope he gets some experienced guys around him. I hope he gets people who've been there and done it. He he's in for a tough time of it, certainly. Come January, we have to wait and see. The thing with America is you have to now band around the decision that the country has made. It might not be your preference, it might not be who you voted for, but you know what, as part of democracy, you've got to suck it up and you've got to now rally behind whoever is in charge. Collectively, make your country a better place. Band around it, endorse the good ideas that Donald Trump's going to try and come out with. Hopefully we'll have an easier time of passing the policies than Obama did, because Republicans dominate both houses now. Not that he's the most popular Republican in the world, but might be easier for him. I think you're gonna find he's a much more pleasant president than you give him credit for. Yes, he's a buffoon, and yes, he says some stupid stuff, but I think he's now realising the seriousness of the situation. And from what I've seen so far in the interviews, I'm actually generally quite impressed by him. Not really impressed by his family. I'm actually quite surprised by the guy himself. Anyway guys, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.